Hi, this is just another video just to sort of show you how the coding is going to work. I'm just literally going to go over something really quick and simple. Hopefully get you set up with how we're going to code while we're at home. Um, and we'll hopefully make some fun stuff. I'm not expecting you to do this in the first week because I know you've got work on there. I mean, I'm expecting people to at least have a little bit of an attempt just so we can see how you're getting on with it. So this is something called Visual Studio Code. If you type this into Google, you can download it free of charge and you can install it. It's really easy to do. You can just follow the instructions and you can install it really quickly. If you, for whatever reason, can't install this, you can use Notepad instead, which comes on every Windows machine. So this is Notepad. Again, you can type stuff in there and you can use this to do your web coding instead. If you are going to use it for web coding, you'll just have to type it out manually. Visual Studio Code will let you put in things, and it will automatically autofill for you. So you can. It's got a lot of nice features within it. Whereas this one is very basic. Like you will have to type everything out manually, but you can do it this way. What I recommend is that people set up a folder, which I have set up on here. I just put it in my documents, made a thing called Workspace. So look, that's where all your lovely lessons are stored for later. But I've made a folder called Workspace. Within Workspace, I've made a new folder called Test Web Pages because this is obviously where we're going to make some cool web page stuff. And then within here is where we'll put some of your files. So some test files we'll put in here when we start actually creating them and making them. So if you're using Notepad, you'll need to file, save as, and you'll need to find where your workspace is. So obviously my workspace is in that folder. Go into test web pages. Now at the bottom, for this first one, I'm going to call it first because obviously this is the first one we're ever doing. .html. Now this is incredibly important. You need to make sure you put .html, otherwise this will not work. You have to have .html at the end, otherwise it is not going to recognize it as a HTML file. Also underneath where it says text documents, I'll just raise it up a little bit because you can't see it. So where it says text documents, you need to click all files. If you do not click all files, it will not save it as a HTML file either. So make sure it's called whatever you want. I've just called mine first .html. Make sure the .html is there and it's all files, and then just press save. And if we look, it should have put it in, and if you look on mine, it's already put a Chrome symbol next to it because it's realised it's a HTML document. So you'll know if it's right because it will say it's a HTML document if you've put it in right. However, I'm going to be using Visual Studio Code because it's just a bit quicker and a little bit easier to use. For those of you who are using this, I hope you are using it. All you need to do is go onto File, Open Folder, and then find that workspace and press Select. And if you look, it should put it at the top here and say Workspace. And you should have another folder that says Test Web Pages within it. So, for those of you who haven't used Notepad, obviously this is already in here for me. I'm just going to delete it really fast. So if you just right click it and press delete if you are using that and you've already got it. And it'll ask you if you want to delete it permanently, you just say yeah. So when you're in here and you click test web pages, there's a little button there that says new file. You just click new file, again we'll call it first.html. And if you look, it has put little parentheses next to it. That means it knows it's a HTML file, so it's actually picked it up as a HTML file. So as long as you call it .html, it will know it's a HTML file. So, from here, we can start making our HTML file. Now, as silly as this sounds, HTML files can have different languages within them, not just HTML. So you have to actually specify HTML, and then if you look, mine will close HTML. For those of you typing it manually, you'll need to type HTML, and then you will need to add this little / here. You need to have a / in, otherwise it doesn't know that that's the end of the HTML file. So anything that we type within here, as you can see it goes white, all that is HTML. So I can literally, so we've got this now, I can literally just type, this is my first web page. Yay! So can you see there's a dot at the top? This means that it needs to be saved. Now you can press on the keyboard Control and S, that will save it, or alternatively you just click save here, and if you look it's changed to an X. That just means that it has saved and you can close it if you need to close it. So we've got its first web page done. If you go into your files, so if you have a look on here, there should be a thing that says first. So I'm going to open this with my browser. It should open it hopefully. It'll ask if you want to use Google Chrome. You can just see it off screen here, but just click whatever browser you're using. I'm just going to show it you now to see what it should look like. Let's have a look. So if I was to switch cameras to the one that I need, and it should be on screen now so you can see it. So as you can see, it has typed in, whoops, it has typed in that this is my first web page. So that is it without any things at all. It's literally just text. That's all it's picked up, but that's what it's supposed to do. It's just supposed to pick text up for now. So that is your very first web page that you've ever created. Obviously it's not the most glamorous of web pages, but it's there. So what we can do now is add other things to it. So if we go back to full screen, we can now start adding different things to it. So if we were to say like, right, so my first web page, isn't this awesome, or something like that. If you press save on here, or control, so I'm going to press Control S, Control then S, and that's saved it, look. If you go back onto your browser, you can literally just refresh it and it will come up. Now if you look, it has put it on the same line, but that is because in the code, technically you've not told it to go on the next line. It's just that when we look at it, it looks like it's on the next line, but to a computer, there's nothing saying you need to put this on the next line, so it just puts it right next to it. So to solve this problem, because obviously you need to be able to see it on the next line, you can put in something called a BR tag. Now this is a break tag. You will see these parentheses a lot. So if you see, if you see these anywhere, that is because it's a HTML language syntax. So it's something that you use in the HTML language that it will pick up as actual code. Anything that isn't in parentheses, say like this isn't it awesome, that is just text, and it'll just treat it as text and display it on screen. That's all it'll do. However, if you were to put it in parentheses, it will try and read it as code. The problem is, obviously there's nothing called isn't it awesome as a piece of code in HTML, so it won't display it, but it will just come up with an error. So if you save that and then have a look in the browser again, so in this browser, and we'll refresh it again, if you look, nothing's there, and it doesn't come up as an error at all. But in the background it will be saying there's errors somewhere. So the way to check that is if you're on your browser, to press F12. It should come up like this at the side. If you check your console or your elements, if you look, it's there. It is there, and you can see it, but it's nothing that's recognizable. It doesn't pick it up as an error, it just doesn't do anything with it. So HTML can be a bit tricky because it doesn't tell you if there's any problems. It'll just not display it if there's something wrong. So that being said, obviously if we could take those off. So if this BR here means break, means break. So that means whatever is in front of this, i.e. this here, that will put it on the next line. So if we were to save this and then have another quick look at number 4. Oh, not number 4. Sorry, this is because I'm using numbers to try and switch between my browsers. There we go. And if you look, it's put it on the next line, like it should have done. If we look back to this though, you can see that it's on the next line. So if we were to move this back to there and then save it again, you'll see that obviously this is on the same line. You'd think that it would be on the same line, but because this BR is in between, it will actually tell the code to put this on the next line. So if we were to then switch back to his browser and then refresh the page again, you can see that it's actually still on the next line as we have told it to. So if you see in code and you think, oh, this should be on the next line, but it isn't, it's probably because you're missing something like a BR or a break or something like that. It's very important that you put in things like this, because if you don't, it will just treat it as normal text and it won't do anything with it. So BR again will put another line underneath, and then whatever you write underneath will again appear. One thing I'm going to also set you off with this week, so this is just a very quick tutorial on how to make a web page. If we were to write, say, img as an example, this is an image tag, so you would be able to put images in, but you'd have to put image src and then equals and then 2 double quotes like this. So what src means is source, so that is what your image is, like what is your image. So say we were to get an image online, so if we go on to our browser and we find an image that we want, so let's see, let's go for computer images, and we will steal the first one that's on there. You will have to save it. You need to make sure that you save the image. So save the image, and if we switch back to full screen so you can see, you'll need to save it in the same folder that your web page is in. So for me, it's in my level 2 folder, which is you guys. It's in website production, workspace, test web pages. So it would need to go in there. It has to go in there, otherwise it's not going to work. So what we can do is call it something like computer. Just name it something simple. Press save. So if you look, for those of you who are using Visual Studio Code, it's actually put the file there, look, because it's in the same folder, so it recognizes that the image is in there. You need to make sure you save it. So if we were now to put computer.jpg in there, that should now put in an image. So obviously make sure you need to save the file again. If you don't save this, obviously it won't recognize that you've actually put this in. You need to save it every time you add something and you want to view it in the browser. So let's have a quick look in the browser. Back to first. And there we go, when we refresh it, the picture is there. So it's actually put it on, like it should have done. What you will need to do, which I'm going to set you as like a little mini task, is with this, you can now put in an image, and you can put in some text. I want you to try and change the size of your image. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do this in this video. I want you to have a look. I might tell you later on, but for now I want you to check what it is. Another thing I want you to do is I want you to see if you can change the color of the text. So if you can try and figure out how to change the color of the text, then I will give you some bonus points. I don't know what the points are for. There's just something I've made up, but it will be useful if you can learn this via yourselves, really, because I can just spat out forever how to do things, but you wouldn't actually pick up how to do it properly. If you notice, I've just put p tags around this. That makes it a paragraph, and obviously that's a closed paragraph. BRs do not need closers, because all a BR means is everything after the BR, so everything that's over here, over there, so everything past it just needs to go on the next line. That's why it doesn't need a close, whereas these do need closes, because you're saying all of the text that's in here is within a paragraph. So a P is a paragraph. Now, this isn't going to change anything. If I save this and go back to our browser and refresh it, you'll see that it's not really done a lot. There is another space there, but that's because it's in a paragraph. Now, it doesn't really do a lot on first glance. It actually does. You can use this to change the colour of your font, and I will leave you with that. So try and figure out, with using these P tags that are on here, you will need to figure out how to actually add colour to this paragraph. And I believe you'll be able to find it really easily. If you look on something called W3 Schools, I've left a link for it on the classroom. That will help you out immensely, so please take a look at that. But yeah, this is just a very quick look into how to do it. I will probably go over some more coding when I see you on Tuesday, but please try and have a little bit of a go with it. But yeah, have fun, and I will probably see you either Tuesday or Wednesday.